Entering 2024, it is a big season for the Washington Nationals, and of course, the youth movement is still on. So, who are two prospects that you should be looking out for? You may be surprised.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as the show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on there. Later on in today's show, we're going to talk a lot about this Shohei Ohtani contract today and not breaking down what it means for the Dodgers, not breaking down what it means for the Angels losing a talent like Shohei Ohtani. I'm sure you probably are aware of his contract at this point. I'm going to say this right now, that this should not happen. Absolutely should not happen. We'll discuss that and then get into what the fix is, because I do think there is a fix that is something that could be happening within the next few seasons. We'll discuss that later on in today's show. But let's start off with talking about some Nationals prospects and who to watch for entering 2024. These are going to be two guys that they're not in the forefront of your prospect ring. It's not going to be your big-time James Wood and Dylan Cruz projects because, you need to watch those guys. Those are the two forefront guys in this Nationals farm system. So who are two guys that you should probably take a little look at that you may not really know all too much about? Let's start off with Andrew Pinckney. This is someone that we have talked about a decent amount now on this show, but the reason as to why we are doing this, being a fourth-round pick in this last year's draft out of the University of Alabama, it's because this guy has a very rare combination in which today's game is what it's all about. Andrew Pinckney, a fourth-round pick out of Alabama, not really anything flashy out there. When the Nationals took him, I didn't really know all too much about him. I looked at his numbers at the University of Alabama. He had an OPS over 1,000. He hit a ton of home runs. I believe he hit 18 home runs this last season in the SEC, was second team all SEC in the outfield. Right then and there, I was kind of like, I like this profile. And then once he got into the minor system here with the Nationals, kind of once he started to get his reps in, that is when I saw the potential with Andrew Pinckney. This is someone that I think a lot of people may kind of overlook in this system because of how many outfielding prospects that we possess at our hands. But I think Andrew Pinckney is going to be someone who could be surprising people in the year of 2024. The rare combination of skills that he possesses, and again, the way that baseball is nowadays, what are the two skills that you can say, this is what separates a player from being a good player and a great player? It's having that speed plus power combination. Andrew Pinckney, right then and there, from his first 40 some odd games down in the minors for the Nationals, that's what he proved this year, stealing 11 bases, hitting 4 home runs in those 41 games. And again, I think there's a little bit more power left in the tank with Pinckney, considering he hit 18 home runs at the University of Alabama. And again, in the SEC, this is the best baseball conference in America. This is some of the best talent. Is it better than the minor leagues? No, it's not. Those are professionals. But still, the impressiveness in which he showed this year, he does possess a skill set that could be a little bit jarring, to say the least. So going into 2024, I think Andrew Pinckney is going to be a breakout candidate for this Nationals team. I truly do believe in that. And again, going back to what he did best over the course of 2023 for not only with Alabama and as well as with the Nationals, what he has is not really something that just comes along from a fourth-round pick. Now, is he going to stay consistent? Is he going to be able to do this at every single level? Maybe. He did it at rookie ball. He did it in low A Fredericksburg. He did it in high A. And then he had a cup of coffee with double A Harrisburg. Didn't really do that much. Only played in 4 or 5 games with them this season. But I think he's going to be starting in double A this year. And I think he's probably going to get a big starting role as well. And I think the Nationals, they kind of showed off what they think of him by moving him up from rookie ball all the way to AA in just a handful of months. And he probably deserved it, to be honest, because of what he was doing at this level, possessing a 320 batting average with an 872 OPS right there. That's in your first 41 professional games. It doesn't matter where you're picked. If you were having a slash line like that and you were stolen 11 bases in those 41 games, you hit a couple home runs, you show off a skill set in which is pretty rare in today's game, but it's also so coveted in the game of baseball nowadays. That is what separates Andrew Pinckney, I believe, from the rest of these sleeper prospects. He's the guy, in my opinion, where I look at it and say, if I were to put all my eggs in one basket and one guy breaking out in the year of 2024, someone that we may not expect to, I'm going to put the eggs in the basket with Andrew Pinckney. It's simple as that. In today's game, you cannot really just find guys like him and just pluck him off a tree. This is someone that you have to develop. This is someone that you have to really just scout and try to find throughout baseball and try to find someone who could stay as consistent as Andrew Pinckney did over the course of his last season in Bama and over the course of his first 41 games playing professional baseball. Andrew Pinckney is going to be someone to watch, and I say this kind of hyperbolic, but you could potentially see him really be a fast riser throughout this season going forward, because if he is going to hit in AA, we've already seen it with the Nationals. They're not going to just put the brakes on him just yet. They're going to promote him to AAA, and we all know what comes after AAA. You're into the major leagues, my friend. It'll be interesting to say the least what Andrew Pinckney could do, but he's my number one prospect who, again, you may not be thinking too much about him, but don't sleep on Andrew Pinckney just yet. I can tell you that for a fact right now. Number two, the final kind of prospect that you should watch going into 2024 and beyond, right-handed pitcher, Andry Lara. The Nationals, they made a big splash signing Andry Lara out of the international signing class back in 2019-2020 offseason. Andry Lara was a pretty big-time prospect. He was the Nationals' best signee of that class, one of the best international pitching prospects of that class as well. The Nationals nabbed him for about $1.7 million on the dollar just a few years ago. And Andry Lara, while his stats have not been all that impressive, he had a 4.58 ERA in high A this year. And going back to 2022 with Fredericksburg, he had an ERA over 5. Now, his strikeout rate was relatively good down in Fredericksburg. This year, it took a little bit of a dip. But I saw something a little bit different over the last final few months of the high A season with Andry Lara, and that was you're starting to see him kind of piece things together a little bit here and there, because Andry Lara, back in 2021 even, he wasn't really all that successful. In 2022, kind of took another step back with Fredericksburg, never got promoted into high A, and really just kind of flounder around in Fredericksburg. And really at that point, it was just kind of like another big-time Nationals pitching prospect, probably going to be tanking, probably not going to be all too great again. But then started out slow in 2023 at Wilmington, and then the summer came around. Usually the summer is when offense starts to explode. The ball starts to fly out of the yard. That was not really the case with Andry Lara. He kind of honed in on what he needed to do, got a ton of ground balls, which equated to a ton of outs down in Wilmington. And ultimately, you saw him pitch really well down the stretch. In his final 10 starts with Wilmington this year, 41.2 innings pitched, had a 3.24 ERA and a 199 batting average against, and a 6.36 on-base plus slugging. These aren't just amazing numbers. This is something to where you can actually work with. And is this going to be someone that we're going to be accounting for being a major league arm, being a major league starting pitcher that the Nationals hoped just a few years ago? Not necessarily anymore. But I think looking at him and the improvements that he made, maybe this is just simply an improvement. Maybe the Nationals have kind of tapped into this talent that he possesses because, again, Andry Lara, he does have this talent. The Nationals, they signed him for a reason. They signed him to this big contract out of the Dominican Republic, or out of the international signing class, you could say. They signed him to a big deal because this guy has talent. He flashes a high velocity fastball. He's got a solid slider, but here's the thing with Andry Lara. He doesn't have a third pitch that is really something to work with up in the major league level. He's got a changeup, but even then, it's not all that effective. And you haven't really been able to see it generate the swings and misses of what you really want it to see at this time in his professional league. Looking at Andry Lara, though, I've kind of given up he could be a mid-rotation guy. I've kind of given that up a little bit. But when you talk about these big-time pitchers who have solid sliders, who have high-velocity fastballs, you start to kind of hope and wish maybe this guy could be a back end of the bullpen kind of guy. Maybe this guy could be the one to take over a Hunter Harvey type down the road. Maybe this is going to be someone who's going to fill a role in this Nationals bullpen that will be so valuable to this team. That's kind of the hope at this point. Some people may look at that and say, well, that's kind of a disappointment. I just say it's finding guys and filling them in that hole and seeing what they can do at their max potential. Andry Lara is going to be kind of those interesting candidates with this new front office, with this new player development system that a lot of people think is going to be a very analytical heavy kind of operation here. At least we think it will be at this point in time. Andry Lara could be one of those guys to really kind of turn it around. You've seen it with guys like through the Rays system, the teams that are really analytical heavy and kind of use these metrics and all these different equations to get the most out of their players and their prospects. I think the Nationals, if there was one guy to really you could hone in on as far as the pitching goes, because Andrew Pinckney is kind of in that same atmosphere as well, you could say. But I think Andry Lara is going to be someone who could benefit the most because he still has the raw talent. He's still got this big electric frame. He's only 20, 21 years old, still young, still got time to improve. I think Andry Lara could be, again, one of those guys that you may not really expect all too much out of in the year of 2024, but you could be getting a lot more than what you think. And I think that is an exciting kind of prospect to really kind of just dream and wish about with this Nationals team entering the 2024 season. But it all comes back to consistency with Andry Lara. He found that stride a little bit through the summer with Wilmington in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark, but now can he do it in Double-A? Can he sustain this success? Can he figure out a way to kind of keep his ground ball rate just down a little bit? But also, can he find a way to get his strikeout rate back up? Because that is something that dipped dramatically throughout this 2023 season. So those are the two prospects to watch entering 2024. You may not be thinking much about them. You may not really have them on the radar, but keep them on your radar because you never know. They could be the next two guys to come through the system. Maybe they're stars. You never really know. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, check us out on YouTube. Search Locked On Nationals there. Hit that subscriber button as well. Later on in the show, next, we're going to be getting to the Shohei Ohtani contract. And no, we're not breaking down everything to do with it. I have an issue. The issue is, you may ask, the contract itself. $680 million in deferred money out of $700 million. Oh my God. This is a disaster. A complete disaster. I can tell you why I think that and why it's a disaster for baseball and really why it's just simply a joke. Let me tell you this as to why I think that. But before that, let me tell you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. And you can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action because the app is so easy to use. And there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. And even maybe you want to look at future MVP favorites. Some people are thinking Brock Purdy. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill. We saw it last night. You can do that with our friends over at FanDuel. But when you do it, make sure to visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off the NFL season. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon. And of course, FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. Now we get back into it as Shohei Ohtani Shohei bleepin' Ohtani, the greatest baseball player I've ever seen, the best, one of the brightest talents I have ever seen across any professional sports league in the world. And I would even say of all time, one of the most talented players in any given sport, someone that you will never likely see again in our lives. Shohei Ohtani gets the news on Saturday. 10 years, $700 million. Everyone's like, oh my God. And then Jeff Passan drops in on that Saturday with, quote, unprecedented deferrals. At that moment in time, baseball world's kind of freaking out, being like, what does this mean? Us Nationals fans, we know about the deferrals. We know about deferred contracts, what it means for teams. We've done this. The learners, this is their market. This is what they do. We know this. This is just what it is. Nationals fans, we know what the deferred money means. It's like, okay, you're probably going to pay $50 million of it down the road, whatever. Not that big of a deal. And then it came out yesterday. $680 million of those $700 million is deferred. Meaning, over the next 10 years, Shohei Ohtani, each season, will be getting paid $2 million by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Again, Shohei Ohtani, the best player in baseball, the most dominant player in the sport, the most dominant player in any given sport at any given time. It doesn't matter what time in this great universe you could say, Shohei Ohtani is the best baseball player to ever walk this planet. He is now getting paid $2 million per year over the next 10 seasons with, by the way, one of, if not the best organization in all of baseball. What is right with this? I would say what is wrong with it. Everything is wrong with this. Every little thing about this is wrong when it comes to the Shohei Ohtani contract. Some people may look at the Dodgers and say they're the bad guy. Some people may say, look at Shohei Ohtani, he's the bad guy. Wrong. The bad guy in this is Major League Baseball for allowing this to happen. I look at Rob Manfred and I look at MLBPA's president, Tony Clark. Whoever negotiated this part of the contract, whoever kind of allowed this loophole to happen in any sort of situation should be in so much trouble. You are allowing a team like the Dodgers, a team that already has a massive payroll, a team that can spend more money than anybody on this planet outside of Steve Cohen, unfortunately. You have now allowed a team to give up $700 million and say, we can give you $700 million. No one's ever been paid $500 million. No one has ever been paid $600. We're going to give you $700 million over 10 different years. But here's the catch. You're going to get that money after you play with us because we're going to defer a lot of it. Now, Shohei Ohtani is the one who was rumored to be taking all these deferrals. He wanted to take the deferrals, so can't really blame the Dodgers in this sense. The Dodgers, they just found a loophole. But again, the issue is that there was a loophole. You have now opened up, in my opinion, you have now opened up this can of worms for what could be an all-time bad move by Major League Baseball. I truly do believe that in this sense, this is going to open up a different gateway in which Major League Baseball, they don't know about this doorway just yet. They don't know about what could be coming at the end of this deal. Because through the year of 2026, when the new CBA expires, all the way through 2026 again, this is going to be allowed. There is going to be nothing to stop owners from saying, Juan Soto next year? We'll give you $750 million over 9 years. But here's the thing. You're not going to get that $750 million until the years of 2020 or 2038, whatever year it is. Then you'll get however many millions over the course of 10, 15, 20 years. Some teams may even say, we'll give you $800 million. I think this is going to be something that could open up this, again, can of worms for MLB owners, for players, for a lot of different people out there that could say, well, we'll be willing to give you $700 million. But here's the thing, you're not going to get that $700 million until you have all your years in command. We'll give you $3 million per year all the way through the first 10 years of your contract. And then after that, you'll be getting paid in deferrals for the next 15, 20 years, 30 years, however many years you want to make it. That's what I think could happen from this. What is going to stop Steve Cohen from saying, Juan Soto, we'll give you 15 years. We'll pay you $800 million next year, but you're not going to get this $800 million until this year. And also an important detail of this contract with Ohtani is that there's no interest rate attached to this. He's going to be getting paid those $68 million from 2034 all the way through 2044, which is crazy to think about. That is the issue right now. The issue is that they have just simply allowed this loophole to happen. And now a team like the Dodgers, in which they were always, in my opinion, the front runner to get him, even with all the Blue Jays drama, I always just believed the Dodgers would find a way to get this deal done. But I did not expect them to get this deal done in this fashion. It just feels wrong. It feels as if we've been cheated. When I saw the $700 million number, I was at first just like, there's no way that this can happen. How do you just jump from having someone with no $500 million deal all the way to 700? You skipped 600 outright and went to 700. How does this happen? Shohei Ohtani, if there is anyone on this planet worth $700 million for their sport, it's Shohei Ohtani. So I understand that aspect of it, but still, they said, now we're going to skip 500 million, we're going to skip 600 million, we're going to go to 700 million. I know the Toronto Blue Jays were offering 650 million. I know that for a fact. I know the New York Mets, they weren't offering 650 million. I know the freaking Cubs weren't offering 650 million. I know the Angels weren't offering 650 million. But the Dodgers and Shohei's team, CAA baseball, they found this loophole and they took advantage of it. Now, I don't think this is going to be some massive thing. I don't think it's going to be some huge wave that baseball has opened up here of players saying, we're going to take a deal like that. I think players are going to want their money right here and right now and get it as they go. I think I would want that. I think a lot of different people would want that. But if you have a special kind of talent with Shohei Ohtani, someone who's already got a couple $100 million in the bank already, you may say, no problem. I'll take the rest of these millions down the road. We'll try to spend money here. We can try to win right now. We're going to open up this championship window. And plus, $68 million in the year of 2034 isn't going to be as much as what it sounds like in the year of 2024. I guess I said 2024. 2034 is when those $68 million will start getting paid out. You see what I'm talking about here? This just does not seem right. It does not. So you may ask, well, what is the fix? I have a fix for you. I'm going to tell you after this. And now we're back to Locked On Nationals. Again, check us out over on Twitter at @LO_Nationals. While you're at it, make sure to check out our national streaming channel, as Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Again, Locked On Sports Today. So what is the fix with this Shohei Ohtani contract? Well, I don't know if Major League Baseball could come together at this moment in time and just kind of go through it with the CBA and say, we need a rule to prevent this from happening. The fix is you got to have a cap on deferred money, whether it be 50% of the contract. No more than 50% of a contract can be deferred, or maybe it's a little bit of a lesser number. Maybe it's a little bit more of a number. I don't know. All I know is this. $680 million of a $700 million contract cannot be just deferred and thrown down the line without an interest rate. It's a team-friendly deal. And I respect like $700 million. People are like, how can it be team-friendly when it's a $700 million contract? In the year of 2034, when that starts getting paid, again, with no interest rate, what is that going to be in today's dollars? There will probably be pitchers that we don't even know about, kids that are in middle school right now, that will be getting paid $70 million at that moment in time. Kids in high school who are 18 years old who will be in that free agent market that will be getting $700 million. Maybe Jackson Holiday will be getting that in 8 years down the road, whatever it is for him. That's what I think it opens up for Major League Baseball. And through the new CBA, you have guys like Juan Soto, that are going to be free agents and amongst plenty of others that are going to be entering free agency here soon. What will stop teams like the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers, teams like that who already spend this crazy amount of money to say, we'll give you $800 million, we'll defer $700 million of it until your contract is expired. And then we'll see what that number really is at that moment in time, kind of the percentage of what it could look like against a luxury tax threshold. There's a lot of different things that I think Major League Baseball are going to have to tumble around here over the next few years until this new CBA runs out. But at this moment in time, this cannot happen again, because if you don't have the money in which it's hard to imagine the Dodgers have $700 million just laying around there. Yes, they're billionaires, but $700 million, I mean, that's insane. It's insane amount of money. I know I keep on saying that. You may be thinking, of course it's insane. We know it's insane. But the crazier part is that there was this loophole, and it's just flown right over our heads, and Major League Baseball's heads, and Rob Manfred's head. Something's got to change. And in my opinion, a cap on kind of this deferred money, maybe 50% of a contract, no more than 50% can be deferred down the line, or maybe it's no more than 25%. But I do know this, there's got to be a fix, because this cannot be the future of baseball. It sets a bad precedent, and also it's just not good. In my opinion, simply not fair. We'll see what baseball does, but I'll be rooting for Shohei Ohtani because I like the guy. I'm not going to lie. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, check me out over on Twitter at RyanClary11, and as well as the show page at LO_Nationals. And subscribe over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals. And of course, you will catch me on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday through the month of December over on there. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one.